Before I teach you this technique of contemplation/meditation known as the zikr, I am going to share some of the background information on this mantra. A mantra is a sound or vibration that one uses in meditation or contemplation. They are mentioned in the ancient Sanskrit writings, probably the most ancient writings known to man. An interesting thing to know about these mantras is that the word for them in Semitic languages is kalam ilala'i, which means a sound, vibration, a word that comes from God. It differs from the regular word, as in what is the word for pencil in Hebrew. The translators of the New Testament, who wrote in Greek and Latin, didn't have a word for mantra, as did the Eastern and Middle Eastern people, so they used the Greek word logos, which just means word, merely in the same sense as the English word. They were trying to use the word in its spiritual sense. What they meant was mantra, the sound, vibration of God through spirit. These mantras have a vibratory effect on one's entire person, the psyche, the physical, and the psychic also. You can find references to this in the Old and New Testaments. There are numerous mantras, for example, Om, Sharing, Ram, and others, each one for a different level of awareness or for opening a different center or chakra in the body. The one that I am going to share with you, the Hu mantra, was the basis of the Judeo-Christian Islamic traditions, that is, the ancient Tetragrammaton, although the Hu predates all religions and belongs to no religion. Jehovah is a mispronunciation of the Tetragrammaton. The word is YHWH, sometimes written as JEWEW, which is actually pronounced U in the European languages. The J is pronounced as Y. The word still is found today in the names of Jewish origin, like Uriah, God is my light, John, Yuan, God is grace, and Jesus' name, Yeshua, God is salvation. It is also found in the word Alleluia, from Allah, the mentionable name of God. El in Hebrew meaning the praised one or praise, plus Yu, God, and Jah, Yah, meaning behold. The Arabs to this day chant Allah Hu. The Hu is pronounced like the name Hu. It was the unmentionable name of God. If the ancient Jews caught you using it to curse, as in witchcraft, they'd stone you to death. Hence the commandment, thou shalt not use the name of Hu, YHWH, in vain. The true pronunciation was later kept secret from the mundane to avoid the above situation. Sometimes in meditation or contemplation, you will hear it almost as hard rushing wind blowing, just as the apostles did when they were filled with spirit. The reason that I am telling you all of this is that I want you to know that in doing this particular meditation or contemplation, you will not be getting into anything that has an opposite effect on your own personal religious beliefs, nor will you tend toward religious zealotry. Anyone of any religion, or on the other hand, no religion for that matter, can do this exercise. Okay, you've been sufficiently bored. Now let's move on to the technique. Normally, you would meditate for 20 minutes 2 times a day. If you are sick, you can do it even longer, for as much as you feel comfortable. But after you get better, then you go back to doing it only once or twice a day for 20 minutes each time. I personally recommend that you practice it twice a day. Try and pick the 2 main times that you will do it at the very same time every day. The reason for this is to control the mind. The mind works in grooves and is a slave to routine and ruts. And so to control the mind, we do the meditation at the same daily time each day, getting the mind into a set routine. After just a few times, the mind learns that it must get quiet at that time of day. Now you are in control of the mind. Up until this point, the mind will try to get you to do something else, like turn on the TV, distract you with endless chatter, or whatever. At first, the mind will tell you that nothing is happening and not to bother doing this. But the truth is that as you do this, you will go deeper into yourself, and although you may feel totally conscious of your surroundings, if the phone were to ring or someone walked in and called you, you'd jump out of your skin as if you were in a very deep sleep. Such is the subtlety of this contemplation. My favorite times are in the morning when I first get up and in the evening when I get home before I eat. Sit up if you can, but if you're sick and cannot sit up, then it's okay to do it lying down. Get comfortable, close your eyes, take a few deep breaths, keep your eyes focused on the blank screen of your mind's eye, what is known as the third eye. This is not way up inside the top of your head, but slightly above and between your eyes, like sitting in the third row of a movie theater. After a few moments, start to chant the hue to yourself. You can do it, say 10 times out loud, and then you can start to sing it to yourself. By sing, I mean that you can say it or think it to yourself, but it is held for a few seconds like this. Then look and listen in the silence. After a while, you will start to have a sense of quiet, and then usually your visions will be filled with thoughts. The thoughts are a normal part of this contemplation. A lot of people will say, I can't do it, I can't concentrate, I keep having thoughts. However, there's no concentrating. You just become the detached observer. Look at the thoughts as if you were in a theater watching a movie and observing the characters play their roles. If you start making the characters do and say what you want, then you are no longer watching the movie, you are directing the movie. That is, you are not just seeing the thoughts, you are now entertaining them. Get it? When you realize that that is what you're doing, entertaining a thought, then simply just take your mind off of the thought and gently, lovingly come back to the hue again. Don't use the mantra like a hammer to beat away the thoughts, but instead merely take your attention off them. Remember that thoughts are a natural part of meditation. You need not think that you are failing in your attempt at meditating just because your mind is full of thoughts. Observe the thoughts, but don't entertain them. Actually, the thoughts surfacing to the conscious mind is the very way the technique releases blocks of pent-up stress from deep within the subconscious, where they had been stored up and buried. Think of the hue as your personal love song to God. You will feel your body quiet down and sometimes a feeling of peace, and not to sound too hokey here, love will take you. You may see things that were buried deep in your subconscious, memories from your past or childhood that you may need to see and heal. You may hear the sounds of bees buzzing or chimes or a flute. You may feel yourself floating blissfully. You may see a little blue star like 3 needles come together, a sign of protection. You may feel so relaxed that you actually do float out of your body. This is called an OBE, an out-of-body experience. If it happens, you will be ready for it, and it will not frighten you. It is subtle and not as dramatic as you would think. If the very thought of that is frightening you, then rest assured that it will not happen to you. Sometimes you might glance over at the clock to see how much time has passed, and it might seem like an hour went by, but only 5 minutes passed. Or it might seem like a minute has passed, but 20 minutes went by. You cannot know what will happen with each meditation because each is different. Some meditations are all full of thoughts, and you may feel that you can't concentrate. But that meditation might be the very one in which you may have just released a great big block of stress from the subconscious. And that is a great thing. That's why we don't judge the meditation, but we can judge the result from meditating. When the 20 minutes are up, stop chanting the mantra and take a minute to slowly open your eyes. Don't just jump up and say, "Time's up." You might not realize it, but you actually went deep into yourself, and you might feel out of sorts if you jumped up like that. Something akin to jumping right out of bed after waking up from a deep sleep. Sometimes after months or years of doing this contemplation, people hit what is commonly known as the wall. This is when something buried deep in the subconscious surfaces and the very thought of it is hard to handle. The way to get past this is to acknowledge it, but take one's attention from it and know that it is being released. This is exactly the time that one must continue the daily practice to get past the painful issue. Never try to control others with the mantra. It has a protective power to it, so you can use it if you're in trouble. It will keep others from controlling you. Remember that you are not a physical being every now and then having some spiritual experience, but instead you are a spiritual being come here to this earth to have a physical experience. Looking at life like that, from the inside out, will change your perspective, and you will start to see everything in all worlds in a whole new light. You will look out into the world through your physical eyes as soul, and every physical experience will be seen as a spiritual experience. Your personal spiritual journey here on this earth plane. Okay, now to sum up the technique. Number 1, sit up, close your eyes, take a few deep breaths. Look into the blank screen of your mind's eye. Number 2, peacefully and lovingly start singing the hue to yourself. Watch the thoughts and images pass before you. Return to singing the hue when you find yourself entertaining the thoughts. Number 3, when the 20 minutes are up, stop chanting the mantra and take a minute to slowly open your eyes. Now go for it. Love and light.